Managing water supply is a lot like managing your bank account. If money stops coming in, you need to get really good at conserving it, and fast. Fortunately, the city has a diverse water portfolio, so it's not like we're totally out of a job due to this unprecedented drought, to continue the metaphor. It's more like our hours have been cut, drastically.
Our surface water is very limited at this point. We've been working really hard to increase our production from groundwater, and also been securing water purchases from other areas of the state that are transported through the State Water Project. But assuming the drought continues, our groundwater levels will be declining and getting pretty low, and the ability to purchase water will be more and more uncertain.
This isn't the first time Santa Barbara has experienced a serious drought, and because of that, the city has been planning for times like these. The city has a conservative and proactive water supply plan, which outlines the water supply strategy during droughts. In fact, the water shortage contingency plan is triggered long before there are even any signs of drought to the average person.
It starts immediately when our reservoir, Kachuma in this case, stops spilling. We immediately assume we just entered an extended drought period, and so we continue to monitor our flows, and sometimes we'll get rain that basically changes the equation and resets the clock because the reservoir spilled. Obviously, in this case, we didn't get that situation, and so starting in 2011, we've been assuming we were in a drought.
And that foresight has paid off. Water conservation measures enacted since the Stage 1 drought was declared in February of 2014 have saved more than 1 billion gallons of water.
Here in Santa Barbara, water conservation is really a way of life. It's something that we're all used to. But during a drought, we were really asking our community for extraordinary conservation, so above and beyond regular efficiency. And we've been really pleased with the reaction that we're getting from the community. We've averaged about 22% so far, and we are #1 in Southern California in terms of water savings for towns of our size, and then we're also #4 in the state. So we're really pleased with the way that this community has been embracing water conservation.
But as impressive as the community's embrace of conservation has been, going forward it still won't be enough. We will still need additional supply if the drought persists.
Currently, without conservation and without desal in 2017, we're looking at up to a 60% loss in water supply, which is just catastrophic.
To help provide water for the long-term needs of our community, the City Council has given the green light to begin the process of bringing the desalination facility back online. But that will take about 18 months, and in the beginning, it will only produce about 1/3 of the water we need. To bridge the gap between supply and demand, in May, the City Council declared its highest level of drought condition, Stage 3. The Stage 3 declaration triggers additional water conservation measures and requires a 25% citywide reduction in water use. 25% is actually more than the state is asking from Santa Barbara in its drought conservation rules. However, city officials believe the higher number is necessary to ensure future supply.
As we plan for future dry years, we're really planning for no reservoir inflow and no state water. And as we look ahead, in order to decrease the amount of shortage we see, we felt it was appropriate to increase it to 25% for this year.
We're going to be constantly monitoring our supplies. If we do happen to get some rainfall this winter, we may be able to relax that. But at this point, in order to make sure that we are able to get through 2016 with adequate supplies, we are recommending, and the council has agreed to the 25% conservation target.
As part of the Stage 3 condition, the City Council adopted additional water use regulations, including restrictions on watering times.
So for Stage 3, we are continuing our Stage 2 drought regulations that many people may be familiar with. A lot of these are also statewide now, so there's a common one about making sure you have a shutoff nozzle anytime you're using a hose. Also, irrigation is limited to nighttime or early morning, and that's to reduce the amount of evaporation and the amount of water that's lost to that. So for automatic fixed sprinkler systems that have a timer, those need to come on after 6 p.m. or before 8 a.m. If you're watering by hand, that's something that we allow more time for so that you can be awake while you're watering, and that it needs to be after 4 o'clock or before 10:30 a.m.
Other water use regulations include Irrigation during and within 48 hours after measurable rainfall is prohibited. Pools and spas must be covered when not in use. Drought notices that state water is served on request only are required in restaurants and other eating and drinking establishments. Hotels and motels must post a drought notice in each guest room and provide guests with the option of choosing not to have towels and linens laundered daily. Gyms, pools, and other businesses providing showers must post drought notices and promote limitation of water use. And the city itself is included in these regulations. All around town you'll see the signs of exceptional water conservation, from empty fountains to golden turf. And just like for residences, where the biggest demand for water is the yard, the city's yard, the Parks and Recreation Department, has seriously curtailed water use, setting an example for us all.
They have really analyzed all of the water that's used at their various parks and golf courses to take a look at what's recycled water and what is potable water, and figuring out ways to limit those and really prioritizing those areas that are used for active recreation. So areas that are commonly used for sports, that's something that's been a higher priority than areas that are more for passive recreation.
With the Stage 3 declaration and water rates going up July 1st, the city expects an increase in interest from residents and businesses looking for ways to save. Fortunately, the city has a number of programs to get you there, most of them for free or at a greatly reduced cost.
One of our most popular programs is the free water checkup, and this is available to any water customer. And what we do is we send out city staff to help you evaluate how water is used on the property and how it can be more efficient. And while we're there, the city staff will also help you evaluate if you may be eligible for any rebates. One of our most popular rebates is the landscaping rebate, and that's ideal for people who are removing high water using plants such as turf or inefficient irrigation systems. The most important thing for people to remember is to give us a call before any work is done so that we can come out and do the pre-inspection.
One impediment to greater conservation, or at least the perception of its need, is all the recent talk about El Niño. Experts are predicting an El Niño this rainy season. However, that does not necessarily equate to higher precipitation. So going back to the personal finance analogy, El Niño is like a great job prospect. There's a lot of potential, but there's nothing in the bank yet.
It isn't a done deal. It doesn't mean for certain that we are going to see rainfall that's going to make a dent in this drought. The variables on really seeing measurable rainfall are all over the place. And so I caution the community to even if a strong El Niño is declared for next year, that we don't need to conserve. Certainly that would be a very bad idea.
To be prudent, the city has to plan for continued drought until water begins to spill over Bradbury Dam. In the meantime, we all need to do our part to help manage the water left in the bank, and the only way we can do that is through conservation.
Even as we talk about reactivating the desal plant, conservation is still going to be critical. There is no way we can get through this drought without a community conservation. It is our cheapest source of supply. We see it as a supply. The act of not using water frees up water. So the use of more water only means we have to pursue more expensive and costly sources, which is only going to drive rates up even more.